Brothers and sisters in Islam, I remind you today in this khutbah that this world is a temporary world. This world that we live in is a place that we are supposed to be tested and transit into the hereafter. I remind you today that this world is a prison for the one who believes in Allah Ta'ala and acts like he or she truly believes in Allah Ta'ala. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah Ta'ala, He says a statement in the Quran. But before saying the statement, Allah Azza wa Jal, in order to emphasize that statement He wants to say, He swears by the city of Mecca, and He swears by the father, and He swears by the child, to emphasize what He wants to say. He says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Allah Ta'ala has created humankind in a way in which they are supposed to face difficulty, in a way in which they are supposed to taste hardship, in a way in which they are supposed to taste pain, and they are supposed to suffer. And that is the world that Allah Ta'ala has put us in. And that is the world that Allah Ta'ala has created for us. Brothers and sisters in Islam, if you are trying to seek comfort, brothers and sisters in Islam, if you are trying to live a life that is 100% comfortable, 100% pleasurable, 100% enjoyable, then realize, oh brother and sister in Islam, that world only exists in Jannat al-Na'im. That world only exists in the gardens of bliss. فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. Do not be deluded by this world. Do not be deluded by this world, no matter how much you try and make it comfortable. No matter how much you chase after comfort, and you chase and you chase and you chase to make this world a more comfortable place for you. No matter who you know, what you know, this world will never, ever be 100% enjoyable, 100% comfortable. Discomfort will always remain, no matter what you try and do. Today you're happy. Today you're pleased. Tomorrow you'll taste hardship. Today you grieve. Today you suffer from pain. Tomorrow ease will come. This is the nature of this dunya. This is the nature of this temporary world that Allah Ta'ala has put us in. There is no such thing as consistent pleasure. There is no such thing as consistent comfort. That is the reality of this temporary world that Allah Ta'ala has put us in. And subhanAllah, we ought to learn from the gems among us. And I'm the first that should be learning from the gems that exist in our communities and they exist in our families. And I call them gems because as gems are rare, these people are rare as well. People who subhanallah ta'ala, they have sicknesses. They have sicknesses. They're going back and forth from the hospital. Surgery after surgery. Pill after pill. Or people who have loans and they have difficulty paying these loans off, and they're doing whatever they possibly can to make ends meet and pay off whatever they need to pay off by the end of the month and pay off these loans. They suffer financially. Or there are people who have children who are disrespectful to them and rude to them. They tell them that worship Allah Ta'ala, pray your 5 prayers for your own benefit. Worship Allah Ta'ala, put on your hijab. And yet they respond disrespectfully. Or they have their children and they have parents, and their parents are emotionally abusive. Or they're verbally abusive to them. But they still smile, and this is why they are gems. That despite all of this, they still smile. They're still smiling. Because these are people who realize that this world that they're in is a temporary world. It is a world that they are simply here to be tested and transit into the hereafter. They're in this world, and this world is a prison for the one who believes, and they believe, and that's why they smile. And that's why they respond by smiling, because they understand and they realize the reality of this world. فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. Do not be deluded by this world, brothers and sisters in Islam. Realize the next time that you complain about holding back your desires and controlling your desires, and how difficult it is because you live in such a sexualized society. The next time that you complain that it's difficult for you to avoid illicit drugs despite everybody around you falling into them. The next time you complain about that cancer treatment or that dialysis, brothers and sisters in Islam, the next time you complain about your spouse whose character has changed, the next time you complain, remind yourself that this world is a cursed world to begin with. This world is a cursed world to begin with. Our Prophet says, "Ad-dunya mal'una." This world is cursed. Mal'unun ma fiha. And everything in this world is cursed. Mal'unun ma fiha. Everything that this world contains is cursed. Illa dhikrullah. Wa ma walah. Except the remembrance of Allah Ta'ala. Wa alimun wa muta'allim. And except for the one that teaches and the one that learns. فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. Do not be deluded by this world. This is the reality of this temporary world, that we are simply here to be tested and transit into the life of the hereafter. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah Ta'ala, when He describes this world, He says, اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو وزينة وتفاخر بينكم وتكاثر في الأموال والأولاد. Allah Ta'ala describes the reality of this world. And He says that this world is nothing but play, nothing but amusement, nothing but entertainment, nothing but glitter, nothing except boasting about what you have, what you know, your children, what you've earned, what you've accomplished, and the amount of children that you have and what they have accomplished. That's all this world is. What is Allah Ta'ala trying to say? That this world lacks depth. What you're chasing after, you're not going to get, because this world, it lacks depth to begin with. And that's why Allah Ta'ala, He then compares it. He says, كَمَثَلِ غَيْثٍ أَعْجَبَ الْكُفَّارَ نَبَاتُهُ ثُمَّ يَهِيجُ فَتَرَاهُ مُصْفَرًّا ثُمَّ يَكُونُ حُطَامًا. This world is like, the one that wants to plant the seed. The individual that's a farmer and plants the seeds, and all of a sudden he gets so happy because the rain comes down, because now his plants will grow. But what happens to those same plants? They wither away. They die out. That is what Allah Ta'ala is trying to say. That is the reality of this world. That is what this world is. It lacks depth. فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. Don't be deluded by what this world is and what it isn't. Brothers and sisters in Islam, think about this. Think about this. If this world were truly a place of baqa and istiqrar and farah, if this world were truly a place for us to settle down, enjoy ourselves, and it wasn't a place of shaqa and ana, it wasn't supposed to be a place of difficulty and suffering, was not the Prophet ﷺ, our Prophet Muhammad, more deserving of it than anybody else? More deserving of that than any one of us here? Was not he more deserving of it? But our Prophet ﷺ, did he not suffer? Did he not suffer? Was he not taken out of his homeland? Was he not kicked out of his homeland? Forced out? Did he not lose all of his children except for Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha? Was he not abused? Was he not ridiculed? Did he not lose his uncle and he lost him to kufr? Did he not lose him to disbelief? Did he not lose his other uncle who was killed in battle? Did he not suffer? Was he comfortable the entire time? Was our Prophet ﷺ, wasn't he hungry? Did he live in palaces? But despite all of this discomfort, despite this reality, despite this suffering, despite this pain, our Prophet ﷺ still smiled. He still smiled. Why is that? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam understood the reality of this world, that this world is a temporary world, that this world is simply a place to be tested and transit into the life of the hereafter, that this world is truly a place for the mu'min, for the one that truly believes in Allah Ta'ala, to be tested, and it is a prison for them. And that is all it is. And that's why when our Prophet ﷺ was asked, he was asked, of course, when angels, they approach the prophets, they seek permission to take their soul, unlike us. And when the angel of death came to approach our Prophet ﷺ and asked him, may I take your soul? Did the Prophet ﷺ Did he reply and say, I want to be with my beloved Aisha because he loved her so much? Did he say that now the entire Jazirat al-Arab, the entire Arabian Peninsula has now been conquered and now we have dominion? Did the Prophet say, I want to stay because of that? Did the Prophet say that I want to stay because Medina is a place of my Ansar? Medina is a place of barakat and khayrat. I want to say. What did the Prophet say to the angel of death? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, بل الرفيق الأعلى, بل الرفيق الأعلى, بل الرفيق الأعلى. I want to be with my Lord. I want to be with my Lord. Brothers and sisters in Islam, the son of Al-Imam Ahmad, our Imam, he asks his father, he says, يا أبتا متى الراحة? يا أبتا متى الراحة? Oh father, when are we going? When he sees his father suffering, and he says, oh father, when is ease coming? When is comfort coming? Look at our Imam, he responds. He says, الراحة عندما نودع جسر جهنم خلف ظهورنا ونخطو أول خطوة إلى جنة النعيم. Oh son, you want to know when راحة is? You want to know when comfort is? You want to know when ease is? It is once we pass the bridge and Jahannam is now behind us and we have stepped our first step into Jannah. That is when راحة is. That is when comfort is. That is when ease is. يا إخوة الكرام, هذا حال الدنيا فاحتسب آلامها. فاحتسب آلامها. This is the reality of this world. This is the reality of this world. So seek your compensation when it comes to your difficulties from Allah Azza wa Jal. Do not occupy your mind by complaining. Do not occupy your mind with what could have happened, with what would have happened, with what should have happened, with what will be, with what won't be. Rather, occupy your mind by seeking the compensation from Allah Ta'ala for the difficulty that you're in. And that is what you call a muhtasib. The one that in the difficulty, in the midst of the difficulty, the person says, Ya Allah, give me compensation. Give me compensation through your reward. That is what you call a muhtasib. And that is what Allah Ta'ala wants from you. That is what Allah Ta'ala is seeking. Yes, not being able to conceive is a very difficult pain to endure. People have been trying to conceive for years and they can't. It's difficult. People suffer from back pain for years. For years. It's a very difficult pain to have. There are people who have been trying to get married for years and they find it difficult. There are people who have been trying to make ends meet for years and they just can't get out of the situation that they're in. There are people for months they are being bombarded and bombed and killed, and they lose their children one after the other. One after the other. They lose their mother, they lose their father, and they're wondering about faraj, and they're asking Allah Ta'ala for faraj. They're asking Allah Ta'ala for relief. Realize all of these people, every one of these people, for as long as they are from the muhtasibeen, they are from the people that in the difficulty, they are seeking compensation from Allah Ta'ala. Wallahi, when they come close to the doors of Jannah, they come close to the gates of Jannah, they'll forget everything. Every discomfort, every pain, every suffering of this world, wallahi, they'll forget it all. Because they're the angels of Jannah. They'll say to them, Salamun alaykum. Salamun alaykum. Wallahi, imagine this. Salamun alaykum. Do you think your problems will be anything when the angels of Jannah will say to you, Salamun alaykum. Peace be upon to you. Tibtum. You have been purified. فَادْخُلُوهَا خَالِدِينَ. Enter into this bliss, this garden of bliss. Enter into it now. Because of what you suffered and how you endured and how you were patient and how you were muhtasib. Wallahi, you'll forget about everything. You'll forget about everything. When you die, wallahi, in 100 years, you will be gone. All of your problems will be gone as well. All of your problems will be gone as well. And this is why some of the Salaf, they would say, لولا مصائب الدنيا لقدمنا على الله مفاليس. If it was not for the issues that we have, if it was not for the problems that Allah Ta'ala has given us in this world, what do we have to present for Allah Ta'ala? We'd come to Allah Ta'ala empty-handed. Wallahi, there are blessings in disguise when it comes to our issues and comes to our problems that we just don't comprehend and we just do not understand. And so, brothers and sisters in Islam, I remind you, فَاصْبِرْ وَاحْتَسِبْ فَاصْبِرْ وَاحْتَسِبْ فَاصْبِرْ وَاحْتَسِبْ. Be patient and seek your compensation from Allah Ta'ala, because truly it is the suffering of this world that takes us to Jannah. وأقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم واستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. استغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو استغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحمد لله على إحسانه والشكر له على توفيقه وامتنانه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له تعظيما لشأنه، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الداعي إلى رضوانه صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. يقول الله عز وجل: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. We praise Allah Ta'ala and we seek His assistance, we seek His guidance, and we seek His refuge, we seek His help, and we seek His forgiveness. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah Ta'ala, and Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is the final messenger of Allah Ta'ala, and we send our salutations on him. Allah Ta'ala, He says in the Quran: Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who believe, ittaqullah, fear Allah, وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسُ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدْ, and look at what you are presenting for Allah Ta'ala tomorrow, meaning يوم القيامة. إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. Allah Ta'ala is all knowing of what you do. Brothers and sisters in Islam, the key is to be patient. The key is to be patient and seek compensation from Allah Ta'ala. Be patient and seek compensation from Allah Ta'ala in terms of thawab, in terms of rewards. There are people on their deathbed and they're not dying. They're suffering through pain and they're not dying. There are people who have been trying to get a job, subhanAllah, and they just cannot get it. They've been trying and trying and trying, interview after interview after interview. They just simply cannot get it. There are people who are trying to conceive for years and they can't get it. People are trying to get married for years and they cannot get it. The relief that they're trying to get, they simply cannot get it. They are being bombarded over and over again, not knowing, am I going to see my child tomorrow morning? Am I going to see this child in front of me in the morning tomorrow? Am I going to live to see tomorrow? Continuously being bombarded. Wallahi, if all of these people are muhtasibeen, wallahi, as long as every one of these individuals are from the muhtasibeen, the people in the midst of the difficulty, they are seeking compensation from Allah Ta'ala, wallahi. For every moment that they suffer, Allah Ta'ala raise their ranks. Allah Ta'ala raise their manzilah. Allah Ta'ala raises their rank in paradise. And subhanAllah, these are things that we don't comprehend and we do not understand. That person that is suffering on their deathbed, that person that is suffering on their deathbed and death isn't coming. And they're just dying, slowly dying. But this person is muhtasib. Wallahi, Allah Azza wa Jal just wants that individual to reach their maqam and Allah. Allah Ta'ala just wants that person to reach their manzilah, their maqam in Jannah, their rank in Jannah. And as soon as they reach that rank, then Allah Ta'ala takes their soul. Those are things that we don't understand and we do not comprehend when it comes to our difficulties and the difficulties of the ummah. Those are things that we fail to realize. Brothers and sisters in Islam, every pill that you take, every pill that you have to consistently take to take care of your health, every time that you remember your loved one that has passed away, the mother that has passed away, the child that has passed away years ago, but it still hurts you. Every time that you tear because of the difficulty that you're in, realize, brothers and sisters in Islam, that the objective is to be patient and to seek the compensation from Allah Ta'ala. And remember the hadith of our Prophet ﷺ, who says, مَا يُصِيبُ الْمُسْلِمَ مِن نَصَبٍ وَلَا نَصَبٍ وَلَا هَمٍّ وَلَا حُزْنٍ وَلَا أَذًى وَلَا غَمٍّ حَتَّى الشَّوْكَةَ يُشَاكُهَا إِلَّا كَفَّرَ اللَّهُ بِهَا مِنْ خَطَايَا. There is not a Muslim that is afflicted by a discomfort, by an illness, or by an anxiety, or by a grief, or any type of worry, even if it is as simple and minuscule as a thorn pricking that individual. Even if it is as simple as a thorn pricking that individual. But that person is being expiated for their sins. That person is being forgiven for every difficulty that they're in. فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. Do not be deluded by this world. Do not be deluded by this world, for this world is temporary, and your pain is temporary. And we are simply here to be tested and transit into the life of everlasting bliss, Jannat al-Na'im. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to make us from among those people. لبيك اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.